Hi everyone, we're live. This is Smart Match TV, and I have amazing guests today for you. Ann Parnes and Maria Murray, the co-founders of After Hello, the high-end matchmaking firm, national matchmaking firm specializing in matchmaking, dating coaching, and they also help specifically singles to manage their online dating app presence. An amazing service, and we'll be talking about that today, I'm sure, in much more detail. So let's get the show started. Welcome, and welcome, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Nice to meet you.
Tim. We're so excited to be here.
I'm very excited, and I'm very sure that all of our viewers, and especially singles who are looking for love, who are looking for that perfect partner, they will run into this amazing video, and they're going to get amazing information to help them with their dating lives. And also other matchmakers who are in the industry, maybe starting matchmakers, will get a few tips, and it will be a great karma for you and for me, that help someone to actually create a great business, and again help the whole industry, help people find love. So this is, like everybody already guessed, this is a show about matchmaking. This is a show about technology, because we are Smart Matchup. We manage many matchmakers. We help them build a CRM system on the back, a database system. And not only for matchmakers in the dating industry. Actually, we help now more and more communities who help their members to connect, to introduce, and to match their members for many purposes, from peer support to professional like networking, all the way to like social and healthcare applications, matching patients with volunteers, for example. So matchmaking is everywhere, guys, and I'm excited to talk about that. Um, and Maria, please tell us a little bit about yourself. How, well, one, taking turns, of course, whoever is the braver one today, and talking about how you got into matchmaking, and yeah, how your journey in the matchmaking industry has been to this point.
Sure. I guess maybe I'll begin because it preceded our partnership.
Started with you, absolutely.
8 years ago, I had transitioned from being a lawyer and then a life coach, and seeing a lot of singles really struggling with finding their person. I decided to get into this business and started calling around to a lot of matchmakers in the industry, attending conferences. And that was sort of the first iteration, was local in New Orleans for 6 years before meeting Maria, who I was lucky enough to meet when considering her as a potential match for a client. And then when I heard of all of her amazing skills, that's sort of where our conversation began of how we can partner, and really is the best match I think that could have been made. And I'll let Maria tell her story now.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Definitely one of our favorite matches so far. I come from a background of really sales operations, specifically in wellness and recruiting, which I would imagine most of the matchmakers here can attest that there's a lot of the recruiting aspect that goes into matchmaking. And so it was kind of an aha moment when a client one time said to me, "Hey, you helped me find a job. Could you help me find a husband? Could you help me find a wife?" sort of scenario. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. I was actually at brunch with a bunch of my girlfriends and having the same problem that most of our clients are having in finding a partner. And after maybe a couple mimosas, got brave enough to join Anne's database. And the next day, got a call from Anne. And as she mentioned, the rest is kind of history. So when we met, it was very clear um, that she wanted to expand the business. The opportunity was, needed all over the place. So going, nationwide was important to her. And that is something I've done with different businesses in the wellness and recruiting field. So we partnered up and along came After Hello.
After Hello, and now it's a nationwide high-end matchmaking firm, and you are partners. And obviously, it's a match made in heaven, like in the sense that you complement each other in these areas where you excel more, and you can just it's actually quite a story I hear quite often, where you know. people take different roles from the beginning. I was just interviewing another matchmaker, similar story, operations and the people side, the matchmaking and coaching side. So in terms of your services and in terms of your current, I guess, your current vision, please tell us and tell everyone a little bit about what kind of clients you focus on, like what is your ideal client, and what are the typical problems and challenges. Obviously they come to you because they have a problem and they need to take their dating life to the next level, find the partner, hopefully for a long-term lifetime relationship, right? I suppose that I know what am I saying? I suppose I know this is what it's all about. So tell us a little bit about that, like your typical client and the problems you solve for them. This will be super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, after Hello serves really, high achieving singles. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs, executives, creatives. We have really, we've kind of specialized a lot in the attorney market, if you will. I think that comes from Anne's background, certainly helps with the understanding of that. We have a number of medical professionals that use our services. Because we do take over dating apps, we also have a little bit of a younger crowd that will come in and use our services, and we can support them in that way. And then, of course, coast to coast is kind of the idea now. I don't know. Some of the common challenges, I mean, dating is a roller coaster, right? The culture, the dating culture has definitely changed over the last years and with tech involved. So we get a lot of clients that are experiencing dating fatigue. We have,
Yeah.
yeah, they're just, burnt out, emotional burnout, because of the roller coaster, and really just looking for somebody to, take the baton and run with it. I've heard Anne say a couple times that people will say, my picker is broken, right? So they just feel like they haven't made good decisions in the past about who their partner is. And sometimes the tech, while it's a wonderful thing, can also be exhausting, and that can be a hard thing to go through. So we see a lot of that. We have a number of clients that just, their privacy is really important to them. Their time is very important to them, very valuable to them. And so just having somebody else in their corner get this done for them makes sense. And we have a number of clients that I would say, we're in long-term marriages and now back in the dating scene. And as discussed, is a very different culture now. So needing support with that. And then I would say the last thing I feel like we see a lot is parents helping out their children, really wanting to, invest in their children's future and helping them find their match.
And at what age is that happening? This is something new. I haven't
Really?
many times. So parents are. I know, for example, in some cultures it's more common than others, right? Like if we're talking about Indian matchmaking, Jewish matchmaking, and maybe even in Asian countries, I think parents are very involved, but not in North America, where everybody is very independent. So what are those cases like? At what age, for example, would parents jump in? Is it because it's just getting the kids are growing and they're at certain age and they're concerned? Like, let's explore this a little bit. Like, tell
Sure.
me a couple of stories. Like, no naming, no names. I'm
No,
just.
no, of course not. I'm gonna give the front end of it, and then maybe Anne, you can kind of dig into a little more of those details. Culturally, yes, I think that makes a lot of sense. That, as you just mentioned, certain cultures that make sense, and they may have their hand in it a little more than other cultures. But oddly enough, the most recent client that wouldn't necessarily be the example. In maybe the most recent example, I think was she in her late 30s, early 40s, Anne, maybe?
Uh,
And
maybe early to mid 30s.
yeah, yeah. And I think it was just the parents, and it was obviously a conversation. They both discussed this. This was something that was important to their daughter as well. And instead of going through the roller coaster of dating, really just wanted to help her find it and avoid all of the the trauma that can come with dating
It
sometimes. And
wasn't like
so
a consequence of many, but she just wanted to be preemptive,
not in
right?
this specific
In this
scenario.
case,
This one was yeah, this one was specifically just to avoid it, I think. But yeah, I could definitely see, we do obviously also see people that um maybe a bad marriage, bad relationship, something like that occurred, and the parents are like, come on now, let's do this a little bit better the next time.
next time, yeah. And I know that, for example, in like in some cultures, and I think Indian, recently talking to someone, it's actually not possible to do a match without parents involved. Like literally, it's not a possibility. Like you are gonna be matched by your parents, literally, with matchmaker and your parents and you involved also. Like it's not possible. um let's talk about specific, maybe some success cases when a client comes to you, with one of the problems we just mentioned, and is transformed and you know success, and reaches the success with your service.
I
And
mean,
I'll let you take that one.
yeah, we have lots of examples, but what I'll say is, the clients who work with us, I think that they have an opportunity to experience different types of people who maybe they would have picked for themselves. And that often leads to success because oftentimes we just sort of have a type in mind and it's what we keep repeating over and over and getting the same result. I think that we really listen to what they're saying is important. And so even though there could be some conflicting things, we really get to the bottom of what would be the most important, what do you need to share with a life partner to make you successful? And so that's what we're looking for when we're interviewing matches. And we love our clients who are open-minded and really do want to try on different, dating different kinds of people just to see if what they maybe challenge themselves a little bit. Do they really want what they think they want? We like to give people what they say they want and then kind of see how that goes. And I think that can be a really big learning experience. Sort of dating holds up a mirror to yourself. And so it can be really valuable in learning about yourself and what you're looking for. And so our success with our clients has been in I guess, introducing them to all different kinds of people who they would not have sought out on their own. And also just having them be open-minded about and really intentional about the really important qualities so that they're not just falling for the wrong people. Because as much as we know love is kind of the cornerstone and really important, you need more than love, you need compatibility. So that's what we're trying to do is kind of bring both to our clients. And in our most successful cases, it has been that sort of combination of just that really special feeling when they feel very comfortable with someone and it aligns with their values and their vision of how they want to live their lives.
And it's interesting because most of the time, for them to use matchmaking service, they are already, most of the time they're already successful in their career. Am I wrong? Like they are professionals, busy professional entrepreneurs, so obviously they have success in the other parts of their life, right? And then they're having a challenge in their dating life. So I guess the breakthrough happens, when does it happen? When they realize like they have to approach their personal dating life as seriously as professional life. Maybe, I don't know, like I heard it from someone before. It's like they just don't take it seriously, and so they don't take it. Like, for example, when you need to build a business, you need a professional marketing person, or you need a professional accountant, or you need a professional, you name it, right? Database, talking about technology, but somehow, like, the dating life is like it's treated differently. I can take my chances, I can just go online and just do a few clicks. Is that true in your experience as well? Do they yeah.
Isn't that interesting, right? You're talking about the most important decision, I would argue, the one of the most important decisions we make as humans, and that we do just kind of flounder through it, and there's no training or guide or support. We're just supposed to go out into the wild and go, maybe that one, maybe that one. So yeah, it's a really good point about how in most cases, especially people that have been very successful, hire experts in those fields to get it done. So it would make sense that you would do so in dating and finding your life partner.
And people, you can't be good at everything. And so I think most people spend put such a heavy concentration on advancing their education and then their careers that they just don't have the time and the resources initially to invest in, I guess, even just learning about dating and what, reading about kind of how to grow and what relationship skills are necessary. And so when they come to us, we are that resource for them. We will kind of go through and we get feedback from their matches of what went right and what didn't go so well. And so we can help them become better daters and just become better partners because, we do believe that it's more than just an introduction. It's becoming the partner that you would like to attract. And so that's one thing that we do is help our clients, not just in introductions, but in how to be good at relationships, which is, obviously just as important, if not more so.
Relationships that will carry on after the first date, after the marriage,
After
and
the
that's there is a lot of challenges there. We all know that relationship is work. Of course, a better compatibility. If you manage to go through this process, like find yourself if you're lucky and successful at that, the chances that your relationship will last a lifetime is much higher. But still, even in that case, it's always work, isn't it?
It is. Hopefully it's worthwhile, right? Especially if the love is there and then you're motivated, of course, to make the rest work because it is sort of one of the most special gifts in life, right? Is to find that person to share your life with and who's going to make your life a little bit better and whose life you're going to make a little bit better every day.
And you can rely on in the most difficult times, and you will, you can go all the way, all the 9 yards. The life is a long marathon. How many times do you guys in your process with your clients find that they end up with a partner you matched them with that is like the opposite or very different of what they were imagining in the beginning of the process? How often does that happen? They find something completely surprised. They're surprised with this final outcome.
I would say it actually happens more than you would think. Again, we really do try to get clear on the really important pieces because we don't want anyone to have to sacrifice their long-term life goals. That just probably isn't going to lead to success. But otherwise, I think that, clients who are open on the things that maybe they would like to have but are not must-haves, they might find that, oh, well, this personality type that I really thought I wanted, oh, I forgot that it also comes with, the downside of that particular characteristic. And so they're open to meeting somebody different once they experience the downside of what they thought they wanted. And they might discover something really beautiful that works better than what they even had imagined in terms of their type.
And that's the result of matchmaking, ladies and gentlemen. This is the professional matchmaking approach, and I hear this all the time. So if you are I know, I imagine that when this kind of aha happens, right? They're like, oh my god, I have gone to so many dates, right? I was looking for the wrong thing, or I was paying attention to the wrong thing. you know would do you think would they find those matches on their own? What is the chance, like someone someone coming to you with all of those challenges, like um actually finding the match on their own? I suppose not very high, but I just wanted to have your take. Like, what do they tell you? Do they tell you, "Look, I've been doing it for that long," or "I've gone to so many dates"? Like, give me a little bit of a background on this, please, because it's very interesting always to hear.
I think an interesting take on that is if you started to look at the loneliness epidemic and the divorce rates that are currently happening. I think that kind of answers your question that maybe it's not successful. And you can look at the matchmaking industry and its, success rate is between 87 and 92%. And in comparison to apps, which is below 20%, we can rattle off all the data. It works, right? The high touch guidance is important. What I find is interesting when we hop on a call with a potential client. Oftentimes, clients haven't taken the time to really identify what is important to them. Sure, everybody says something they want, the 6'5", blue-eyed finance guy sort of scenario, but is that really going to go the distance in what matters and long term? And so we here specifically break down people's visions for the relationship and vision for their lifestyle, their values, their core, specifically their top 5 core values. And you'd be surprised, most people have never even sat down to think about what their values are. And then really their vibe or their lifestyle, like what's important to them. And we make it a point to match on those aspects, which helps us get it right for individuals.
Are there the names for those values, like a framework that you use for that to break down those 5 core values? Can we just
Yes.
name them here so that we get people sort of start thinking about it?
Yeah. So that's actually it's an exercise that we go through during the matchmaking process. But in the beginning, during the discovery call, I like to just ask people what are their core values or what are their values? What do they value? I'll ask it in different ways. And interestingly enough, people can usually name 1 or 2 things that are really important to them. I will often hear something like family values are very important to them. Health might be very important to them, something along that lines. And sometimes those values that come up immediately have something to do with what was missing from a past relationship or past marriage. And so they know right off the bat that's important to them, absolutely. But if I was to give them a whole list, which is part of the exercise that we will do later with our clients, of values, and tell them you can only pick 5 and that was it. What are the most important ones? It's a hard exercise because then when you start to see all the different ones, you go, well, I mean, that is, somebody that likes pets, that might be important. Somebody that's political this way might be important. Somebody with this, religion, or spiritualness is important, whatever it might be. And then trying to narrow it down to those top 5 and knowing that if we can get that right, it makes a lot of sense for people.
And this is why you can get to those numbers, 80 to 90% success rate.
Yeah, you're right.
How many days or how much work does it take? I don't know, in terms of days or in terms of time, to get someone
Yeah.
to a point where they are close to achieving that success rate. Does it take months? Does it take weeks? Does it take years in some cases? I hope not, but you
It,
never,
I mean, it
I mean,
depends.
I suppose. Yeah, go ahead, Anne. You probably have a little more background on that one.
It really depends. It's definitely a process. And I do think that people come in thinking, oh, I'm using your service. And so right away I ought to meet my soulmate. And as much as we would love to give, the first match that we introduce you to, for that to be a success, it doesn't always work that way. It's a learning experience for everybody, for you, for the client, and for us as well. So it is a process. Plus once we get the idea, the clarity of what we're looking for, we start to plant the seeds and then we watch it all come in. Now we have had, right now we have a client who's been in a relationship for 8 months with a woman who was his first date, right? And so it can happen, and it's wonderful when it does. But typically, it is a process, and it could be their, 3rd or 10th match. But we really do ask people to trust the process and know that we are putting in all of our efforts. I'm sorry, there's a big storm right now. I don't know if you can hear it in New Orleans.
Ken, wow.
Thunder everywhere.
And the thunder rolls.
we
Yeah.
can hear you. That's what matters. It's all
Okay,
good.
good. Yeah, I would just say, we only work with clients who we think we're going to be successful with. We are also choosing. We want the most important match is, of course, between us and the client, and making sure that we believe we can serve the client and that the client has realistic expectations from our perspective. And then from there, we have a robust team and a robust plan that we put into practice with every single client that is, definitely much more likely to lead them to the result they want than.
Well, your clients have to have a degree of motivation, and they probably should be to a degree coachable, open-minded, right? Like you already mentioned, and that all probably, most probably, increases the chances of success. It's a collaboration, I'm pretty sure, and I love how you said before we find you the matches, you have to match. We have to match with us. So you have to match with the client that you're on the same page, because it's the same. You're on the same page. You are on the same page. So, ladies and gentlemen, if by any chance you're single and you're watching this amazing show and you're talking to, we're talking to top matchmakers in the country, and you're like, you just want to make it faster, or you want to just have that extra insurance right there, like just increase your chances from like 50 to like 90%, you just don't want to waste any time for whatever reason. It could be that you just busy. It could be that, like, all right, like you've tried it 100 times. I don't know, like, what your issue is, but whatever that is, I think Anne and Maria here will probably be your great resource. Just it's nationwide, so you basically can live anywhere in the country, right? You can be
So we
anywhere
have
in the country.
matchmakers spread out throughout the country. So you'd be working with, one of our individuals and correct coast to coast.
So yes, that's it. So you could be anywhere in the country, and any of those issues, if they resonate, you just, the link is below. You click on it, and I'm sure you guys have like a very robust onboarding process, discovery process, and you go from there. You're in the good hands. You'll save a lot of time, because they are the top matchmakers in the country. So now it's a more of a segment of technology. So not so much for the singles, but the matchmaking business side of it. Um, Obviously, you are one of our amazing long-term customers. It's been a while already, so please, let's talk about the database you use, the technology that you use, which is SmartMatchApp. What are your most favorite features, and how do they save you time and make your business more productive?
I'm going to speak on the front end, and Anna, maybe you would want to talk about like what the matchmakers are using it for, because I think that could be really valuable from other matchmakers' perspective, but also individual singles who are listening to this. For me, hands down, I mean, besides the amazing people we get to work with at SmartMatchApp, who are always receptive to hearing our feedback and helping us and quick on the call and those types of things, I think my favorite piece has to be submission forms and automations within SmartMatchApp. I love set it and forget it sort of mentality. And I think that you can do that within SmartMatchApp, being able to, once somebody enters into the database, be able to set up reminders and being able to set up emails to help people get connected with our social media and little, best practices and tips that they can get from us by just setting up these different automations. When somebody jumps into the database, and you do that by going to afterhello.com and go ahead and just click on join database, which is a free service for anybody to go in and potentially be a match for our clients. But you'll see that when you go into it, it's set up so you can decide, well, maybe I'm interested in doing a little bit more than that. Maybe I want to be part of their inner circle or their online dating app takeover or their matchmaking. Smart Match App sets up a system for you to be able to provide those options to people. And then once they go into your database, the automations are set up and structured for those individual buckets, if you will, that people are putting themselves into. So you can really strategically, set up those automations to support the populations that's specific to them and not just being blanketed. It's very, very specific to how you can help that person. And so it makes things a lot easier. As business owners, we have a million things we're trying to think about and navigate. So just being able to set it and forget it and know that they're being supported and moving along the process is really important for me.
And we're working on more features with the AI, especially for help you onboarding clients, and in your favorite submission form feature. Basically, for everyone, it's a form that goes on the website, matchmaking website, and then from there, people submit themselves photos and questions. So we want to be adding AI there, just AI assistant there, just to help people submit the form and guide them from your forms, and even post submissions, so that if they submitted themselves, to help them. Again, we need to test it to make sure that you actually want this or not, because
We
there's a
do. We want it. I could tell you it's music to my ears for you saying that. I think we were just trying to think of a third party way of doing it. So to hear that that's coming, thank you.
yeah, it's coming. It's absolutely, it's going to be optional if you are very, very like manual, and there are still quite a few of those matchmakers who just manual, like very, very, very like high touch. That's great, but there is also technology, and it's becoming better and better, and actually handling even questions, even most frequently asked questions can be programmed to answer before you even have a real interview, so it
I
can
think
be
that's
quite
the, yeah,
yeah.
I was going to just say that's the future of matchmaking in general, right? We've just seen technology expanding and growing. So to see Smart Matchup, kind of taking over and leading the charge when it comes to that high tech, high touch is definitely the
We
future.
always we quite often talk on this interview about the future of matchmaking, and I usually at the end of this, and whether AI is going to take over everything and do etc. But the way I see it is AI is going to be, it's like all the matchmaking firms or matchmakers will just have their own little apps, their own setup of tools and technology, which is what we are aiming to do. We want to give you the complete set of tools to create either your own app or your own AI bot or your own AI, matchmaking algorithm. Basically, it's just technology, just next level of technology, not to kind of say be feared of technology, but to embrace it. So that's how I personally see the future of matchmaking, in embracing it and using it together with the human touch, together with human matchmaking elements and intuition, both together.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise,
it's not going away. So, those
yeah,
that are trying to avoid it, I think that's going to be an archaic, dinosaur moment for them. So, I think we
you,
are going to choose to embrace it and move forward
you
with
have
it.
to
So,
embrace it.
yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. But Anne, I mean, at matchmaker side, I mean, we use it for so many things. I always say this: I'm not the matchmakers, and our senior matchmaker, and we have a team of matchmakers underneath there, and they're incredible. But they're in Smart Match app, obviously using it for our clients at all different points.
Well, Maria, your was very like operational processes. So and
You
I
see,
and
the
I enjoyed
operations
it.
came in.
Yeah, yeah, I see
Good. I
that.
hope it was a different perspective. Sure.
Yeah, and from our perspective, obviously, it's just wonderful to have a system where everything is organized in one place where, when we are looking for matches for our clients and our big databases that we can search properly and then add them as potential matches so that we know who to go back to and who to interview. We can keep the notes. We can send surveys to see, how did the date go? It's really important for us to get feedback from our client, from the match, just to see how it all went and ask the particular questions that we would like to ask. So it just gives us that platform to be able to do everything we need to do to run our businesses and serve our clients in the most efficient way. So we're very happy
The,
with the
the
product.
matchmaking basics, right? The
Yeah,
searching, the matching, the getting feedback, scheduling next match, not forgetting the next match.
exactly.
Right.
Notes from our interviews, they're all kept in one place. And like Maria said, we use the AIs for the note takers so that we can really be present during the interview. But then we know we can take those notes and turn them into something that can be kept in the client's file. So it's a very, extensive tool that all of us are using and having a lot of success with.
What do you guys in your company use for note takers? There's so many of them now. Phantom is one of them. AI note taker, something like that. There's so many now. Which one is your favorite tool?
And trust me, we've used them all, and we've actually officially just landed on. We really do like the Gemini feature in Google because we're using Google Meets. So it transcribes and provides meeting notes and records the call, so we can take all of that and plug that into SmartMatchApp. So it's just a ton of data that we can
Gemini is
keep.
Google's AI version of ChatGPT. They actually have Gemini GPT, if you want to call it how, but
Yeah.
and I hear only good things about it. So you know what? Let those giants spend millions of dollars and compete. They're competing like crazy, and we get better and better products to use for our
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I think this is technology-wise is it probably enough for those matchmakers who are listening to it. Like you can get an idea, and if you want more info, you just reach out to us. Link below. You get a free trial, a free demo. We'll walk you through this so you can have a great database set up. In terms of just a few wrap-up questions. In terms of starting matchmaking business, I do get that question a lot. We do get people who come here like just literally startups started literally yesterday. What would you recommend them do and not to do when they're starting a matchmaking business? We can keep it to 1 2 like high level tips, but just try to place yourself back in the day, and like think of it, what you would absolutely not do when starting a matchmaking business, and absolutely do if you start taking a matchmaking business.
I would say, I mean,
Um,
obviously,
Good.
you need the CRM, right? I think that you need a place that you can gather your leads and your contacts, and you need to learn from others and go to conferences and collaborate with other matchmakers. Those are the do's. The don'ts a little bit harder. Maria, do you have any ideas? I mean, uh,
Uh,
It's
well,
a tough
I've
one.
heard, I was going to say, I've heard horror stories. And so I wanted to go right into like some of those as don'ts, right? I think that what's important is when you're starting this, you need to think scalable, um, and um, and being able to delegate and manage your time. You're only going to be as successful as how you utilize your time. And so if you're doing something that is very much close to the chest and just only you can do it and nobody can replicate it or support you, if you're trying to grow it and expand, that's not possible at that sort of level. So really thinking about how to replicate, and scale the efforts. And tech is such a huge component of being able to do that, to free your time so that you can focus on the bigger picture and not the nuances of it. And so I would say right away, invest in good technology is really important. Invest in really good people, and kind of find, I think Ann and I talk about our strengths and weaknesses. I mean, we're just such a perfect match because my weaknesses are her strengths and her strengths are my weaknesses. And so I think it takes a hard look at what maybe your weakness is and figuring out what are you going to do to compensate for that and helping you to scale. Because if you just go in, we all know that when you're first starting a business, it can feel like you're wearing a lot of different hats, right? If you're marketing, sales, operation, matchmaking, learning how to build websites, whatever it might be, it's too much. You got to figure out, kind of those important things and start with, planning for scaling.
So don't rush with scaling. Like, is that it? Like scale only when you're ready.
I think you know what? I tend to lead into the, move forward, because I think a lot of businesses, in my experience, that I have seen fail have been stunted, like they were too scared to move forward or make decisions or to scale. They wanted it to be absolutely perfect before they did, and that cost them a lot of time and dollars. So I want everybody to make educated, smart decisions when they're scaling, of course, and get, advice, but that shouldn't stop you. I do think you need to keep moving forward. I've seen a statistic somewhere in the high 80% of the reason why businesses fail is because they just stay stagnant and they don't, make decisions. You sometimes need to just be quick on making the decision, and then you can perfect it later, right? So we can smooth it over later or go, oh, that didn't work, adjust and navigate. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I think you definitely, in fact, that's the opposite of what I'm saying. You should move forward. But I think whatever you do, it needs to be something that you can replicate with multiple people. So if you're using something that's a pen and paper method, that's not scalable, right? You got to figure out, how am I going to take the data that I'm getting or the spreadsheet that I have and be able to automate it and make it simpler, and try to bring everything into a system that's going to be able to go, hey, if I was hands off, or if I wanted to take a vacation, or I got sick, or whatever it may be, it's going to be able to run without me.
Gotcha. I think this is quite a lot, and even with those tips that you just shared, it's already a lot of work. So everyone, work on those tips, and if you need more tips, we can also schedule another interview or another workshop and share more information. By the way, you should also join Matchmaker Alliance, and I know Anne and Maria are part of it, Matchmakers Alliance, and there's a weekly and monthly follow-ups and workshops. So absolutely, if you're starting Matchmaker, you can join those. But last but not the least, what's the best way to reach you, Maria and Anne? Where are you more active on the social media? Where can people see, the material you're sharing, maybe success stories you're sharing? What are the best channels?
Yeah, certainly. We are on every social media platform. So whatever your preference is, you can find us there. We're even on X and TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, you name it, right? But if you're ready to move forward and you want some real information, go to our website afterhello.com. We have a great Q&A. I think we're one of the matchmaking companies that are very transparent about the matchmaking industry, and we have a very robust Q&A. So a lot of your questions might be answered just by going through that. And then, certainly put yourself into the database. We also have a direct contact us form too, if there's something specific you wanted to talk about. So.
And subscribe to
Great.
our newsletter, because we do put out, a lot of we hope helpful tips and content there. So for people who want to learn about dating and have the resources, we are happy to share them. And if you join our database, you have an opportunity to receive our newsletter.
Yes, and remember about the statistics, 80 to 90%. This is actually, I actually learned something today. I didn't know that statistics. It's very, very encouraging statistic, actually.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why matchmaking is here to stay and to flourish. Because just think about it, right? I mean, people do things like get into shape, fitness, right? They need a fitness coach, nutrition coach, marketing coach, financial coach, and the list goes on. If you want to find a compatible match for lifetime, you need a not marketing, you need a matchmaker, and you need a dating coach. And After Hello offers both of those. And by the way, you mentioned about working on the dating profile. So if you're using the dating apps, and you actually can use the service, which is a app takeover. So After Hello can offer you a service to take over your dating app and help you to date better. And I think it comes with a coaching as well element. Like, do you completely take over, or do you coach how to handle the dating app, or both?
Both. It's a
Yeah, all
separate.
of the above.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they can be standalone or services that are included with one another. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's another avenue of getting into the matchmaking, into the next level dating game. So is that something they absolutely have to take with your matchmaking package, or they can just take this part, and maybe it's like an easier way to sort of step into the world of professional matchmaking,
We
professional.
assess each client individually and really give our recommendations for what is their best path to finding what they're looking for. And that looks different for everyone. Some people choose to do both, and we really recommend kind of putting, all of our efforts in doing the online profile management as well as our takeover, as well as the matchmaking, and sometimes, just one or the other. And I will say that we've had a lot of success with the online profile takeovers. And so we've actually developed a course teaching other matchmakers how to use this service so that they can serve their clients in the best manner for each individual
You
client.
have developed a course for other matchmakers.
Mhm.
Okay, and
Yeah,
that
we've
could
kind
be
of become
found.
that subject matter expert. Anne was actually a speaker at the Alliance on this topic. So.
Yeah.
And information can be found on your website as well, I suppose. Okay, so everyone, the links are below. Click and just do your due diligence, and you'll be surprised what you will find. Thank you so much, Maria and Anne. I appreciate your time. You're very generous with me today, and I am sure this will go a long way. And there's some nice tips for singles and matchmakers, all of it in one. I love it. I appreciate it very much. Have a great day, and I'll until next time.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.